following is a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the program are solely that of Horicon School District in the city of Horicon, not WBEV or Good Karma Brands.
And welcome into Taking Care of Business today. It is Marsh Talk. We have Superintendent of the Horicon School District, Rich Appel, here, and Horicon Mayor Josh Maas on the show. Gentlemen, I'll start off by saying happy holidays. Obviously, we are less than a week away now from Christmas, and I'm glad to see you came in being all festive for us today, Rich.
Absolutely. We have Secret Santa today after school with our kids, so
okay,
got to have the hat on.
I like it.
It doesn't look good in January, so.
Well, I mean, it doesn't stop you from wearing it, but yeah, it's a little off-brand at that point in time. Yeah. We welcome you guys in generally once a month because we want to know everything that's going on for the city on the Marsh and, of course, the school district held within. So let's go ahead and take a quick moment, as we always do, and just have you guys reintroduce yourselves to anybody who has no idea who you are on the radio at this point.
Yeah, good morning. Josh Maas here, the mayor of Horicon.
Perfect.
And Rich Appel, superintendent at Horicon.
Beautiful. And you guys came up with the idea to come on and do this because you understand, of course, that it's important to keep people informed of what's going on and what's happening in our communities. And sometimes the information we can find out there in places, social media or otherwise, isn't always accurate and isn't always, fair and honest. And it's better to have you guys on and, excuse the term, but hear it from the horse's mouth, right?
Exactly right. And there's so many good things that we want to be able to talk about, but we also take on tackling some of the topics that aren't quite so popular as well. So just think that having that information out right to them from us is best.
That is definitely true. The first topic we wanted to talk about today, we kind of briefly touched on it before the show started, and so we definitely want to bring this up and talk about it because it is a news thing right now. It's in our backyard, literally in Madison, and it's talking about school safety.
Yes. Such an unfortunate event that took place once again on Monday. Abundant Life is a school community in our conference, our athletic conference. So our student athletes compete against them. Our hearts go out to that community and that school district. It always makes you reflect. It elevates concerns when anything like that ever happens in a school district because kids know that's going on and it's on their mind. Teachers know it's on their mind and what's going on. As a district, we practice, we prepare, we have good security systems in place. There's nothing that's 100% foolproof, which has been proven, but we do everything we can to keep our kids as safe as possible by running those drills, by talking to kids. If you see something, say something. And then making sure that we're all very, very visible, having those relationships with kids. In the morning, I'm outside. My school resource officer, Officer Stocks, is also outside, and we're there. We're greeting kids, but we're also watching if there's anything that looks out of the ordinary. And then we have staff placed in the halls as they come in, just to be looking and seeing, if anything just look a little out of place, does somebody look a little, unregulated or a little different that day, or is there somebody that we don't even know? Because then we're ready to intervene. So I know that it's a scary time for parents and kids. They always reflect on it and let us know that, what are we doing to keep things safe? And I'm glad that I sent a message out on Monday just as to what took place in Madison, but also that we do have measures in place to try and keep our kids as safe as possible and that we're aware and we're monitoring.
And I will say I highly appreciate the fact that there's been a change over the past year, especially since when I was in school, where principals, vice principals, superintendents, teachers do seem to be making themselves more visible and available. It's not just, I'm available after school when my door is open, or if I happen to be near the building, you can come talk to me. But, you yourself, you drive bus for the district.
Yeah, I got to get retrained again this afternoon. But so I just think that being very visible, being very connected to the kids. I love greeting the kids in the morning and doing my crossing guard. I love seeing the parents as they're coming in. I can kind of see who's already having a little bit of a stressful day with traffic or whatever. And I just think it's important that they have those connections to myself, my principals, which are always very visible and involved, and then our staff. So the better connections you have between adults and kids is always going to be a good recipe to have. And we try very hard in our school district to have those relationships every single day.
I'm assuming that the school district has people available if students want to talk about what happened.
Always.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and just from the city's perspective on this, as someone who's worked in law enforcement at an agency now for 23 years down in Madison, so we were there around a desk when this all went down. And I think Rich will appreciate this too. Not many school districts our size and cities our size have made the investment to have a school resource officer to consider school safety this important. I know they all consider it this important, but we made the investments and we've shown as a city, as a school district, that our kids are that important, and our teachers and our staff. So I think we did sign.
Yep, another 4 years.
We have another 4 years. We take this very seriously.
And Officer Stocks is the kind of guy that those kids know him personally.
Right.
He's invited to their graduation parties. They come to him out of concerns. Right. If they see something, they come to him. And he's the right guy for that job because he really connects to those kids, and not just in a police manner, but as an adult figure who they know they can trust and come to. So that is a major positive role that he plays in our school safety.
Yeah, and those kind of connections are incredibly important. I know with my own kids in school, I love when they come home and they tell me about the great positive interactions they have with their teachers and the staff. I've been told about, even custodial staff that are just super friendly and helpful, and, office staff and library staff and people who aren't necessarily direct in the classroom teachers who are there to just be helpful and be a part of the team. Exactly. So I definitely appreciate that. Now, you mentioned earlier the connections that you have with students in the area and building those connections. And some of those connections now are coming back to you from years and years and years because you made an announcement that became news today on our own news station.
Yes. Monday night, I submitted my retirement letter to the school board, and they accepted it. And 37 years I've been doing this. And so, of course, it's never official till it goes out on social media. So It went out on social media today, and I've already had former students of mine I started out in Tipton, Iowa, and former ball players. I was a 22-year-old young man. I was a kid, and I was coaching varsity sports. So those players, some of them were 4 years younger than me.
Right.
So they're 56 years old now. Some of them are retired, and they're reaching out to me just to say, congratulations, thanks. I was in Chilton for 21 years, and then now in Horicon for 9. And each one of those places, those communities, I think any sign of a successful administrator in a school, a mayor, any kind of leader that has a great relationships with the people that they serve, and make those connections. And every one of those districts, communities, I was a member, I lived there, and I became a part of that community, and they accepted me. Sometimes you go to a community and you got to be third generation before you are an accepted member of that community. And each one of these towns brought me in and accepted me and let me be a part of things. And it's just been a wonderful experience. In Horicon, the 9 years that I've been there, the school board took a chance on me. I was a middle school principal. I hadn't been a superintendent. Had a lot of leadership opportunities by being in the Army and being a principal for 21 years, but never a superintendent. And Jerry Tribby was president of the board, and the board brought me in and really trusted me to say, I just kind of went from my experience of being a school leader, and my dad had been a superintendent for 37 years. And so I had a role model that I think exceeded my abilities, that I kind of followed up and grew up in the business. So I knew what it took to to pull this role off, but you don't always get accepted and allowed to do that. The staff trusted me. The community gained trust in me. And when we passed the referendum in 2018 at 62% to build this new complex and this new campus, that was a real show of support and trust to be able to do that. $26.5 million, and I think the results have more than paid for themselves. By the environment that our kids get to learn in, the teachers get to teach in an environment that's very positive, and I think that it's always been a proud group in Horicon at the school district. But I think when you have facilities that you're proud of too, you just carry yourself a little differently. When you dress up, you carry yourself a little bit differently. So I think that the community and our kids and our staff have kind of grown with that. And by the successes that have come from all of this, it's not the Rich Appel show. I may have been a part of some of the decisions and the leadership to get ideas going, but it takes people to do it. And I have amazing, amazing staff and leaders and a community who support that to make that happen. So, I mentioned that so many things have come our way. With the athletic complex, we didn't do a referendum for that. That was $4 million. And that was money raised by people donating anywhere from our lead gift from my friend Fred Shortfigure for $1.25 million to start us out, to others who gave $100,000, all the way down to I had students who came in with change. And everybody was a part that contributed to that. So probably one of my proudest moments is to see that athletic complex, which I think is one of the finest in the areas.
Oh, yeah.
That we did that that was a community effort. And to be able to display that when people come through and look at what schools they want to go to, Horicon is very competitive, because when those kids come through with their parents and they're trying to find a place to live and go to school, we have this beautiful campus and we have this beautiful athletic complex. And oh, by the way, our teachers love to be there. Our staff loves to be there. We're in the top 100 workplaces in southeast Wisconsin. So if you've got all of those things going your way and your kids perform then better, our state tests have gone up. We got the Blue Ribbon Award, one of 7 schools in the state this last year. So all of those things really puts Horicon on the map in a different way. And I'm proud to have my part of that, but I by no means am the reason that we have all of that. It's just I had my one role, and that was to lead and to maybe give out some vision and ideas, and then it's others who executed that. And so for that, I'm most proud of what we've accomplished in Horicon, and from Josh and Jim Grigg and Steve Neitzel, the mayors that I've worked with there, we've always had a great relationship within our school and our community, and we continue to do so. We're preparing for the snowfall coming this Friday, right. And Cody Vanderhei is on my speed dial, and we talk the days before. So, I mean, it really is. It's a group effort in a small town, especially. We're kind of the hub of entertainment, and how the school goes, so does the community. And so Horicon is in great shape for decades to come, because our school district is so solid.
That's awesome. Now, timeline-wise, you're here through the end of the school year.
Yeah, June 30th will be my last day. My wife also submitted her retirement in Mayville. She's a math teacher over there. She's got 31 years in, so
Okay.
We're going to go off on our boat, not on horses, but on a boat into the sunset. But so the timeline will go January. The board will be meeting as a personnel committee. They will look at different search committees, search firms to reach out. They vet and they screen and they try to bring in a good match for the board. Usually they narrow it down to, out of all the applicants, down to a handful of finalists that they bring in, and They will be reaching out to members of the community. So if there's any community members who want to share our amazing board, we have a fantastic board, reach out to the board members and tell them what you would like to see in the next superintendent at Horicon. I will have no part of my replacement. That's not my role, is to find my successor. And then they will bring those people in. There will be a committee of people likely to be on the interview teams,
Right.
community members, kids, staff. The board can decide all of that. And then they'll go through a series of interviews and screenings and then a final selection sometime in the spring, usually March, April, so that there can be some transition and prep for the next year. Right. So if anybody has input that they would like to give to our school board, I am sure that Meredith Strife, our president, who is fantastic, would love to hear ideas. And if you're interested in being a part of that, I'm sure that she'd be taking names and things. So
there you go. I like it. Now, I got to move on to this next topic because you mentioned it. We do have snow in the forecast. And I don't know if you listened to our superintendent talk show with Mark DiStefano.
Well, I do. I do on occasion when I'm around, yeah.
After our last time, he said that even though you said the way Mark D goes, the rest of the area goes, he put it all on your shoulders and said, however Rich Appel decides to go when the snow falls.
He's a package, isn't he? Mark and I are usually chatting the night before, texting back and forth and saying, what are we looking at? And it's a little bit different here in Beaver Dam. There's a little more citywide traffic than we have. So our process is we go out, we start driving the roads 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning. Mm-hmm. I'm usually contacting Brian Fields with the county. I contact Cody with the city. We may call the county dispatch to say there have been many accidents out there. We really try to find out how are our roads and then try to, in our best way, project out what are they going to be like at 6:30, 7:30 in the morning, because that's when our kids are going to be traveling. We also try to do forecasts, which our forecasters are never accurate, about how it's going to look throughout the day. Can we get kids, even if we get them in, can we get them home?
Right.
And really, at the end of the day, we just want to make sure that we're trying to make the best decisions so that we don't put kids and our staff, parents bringing their kids in harm's way by trying to get through treacherous roads. So we're going to be watching it Thursday night. My building and grounds guy, Brian Bergren's already fired up about it. He is the snow monster. He hates it. And so he's already anticipating probably 1 foot to 2 foot of snow, just because he always does worst case scenario.
Right. Better to be prepared than not.
Yes.
We got a bunch of other stuff on here we want to run through, so let's try and see if we can hit a few of these. You got a trip coming up in 2025 in June, the Hug It Forward trip. Give us a brief on that.
So we've got 17 students and 5 adults going down to Guatemala to build a school. We're going through, we wanted to do a service trip for kids to get that experience of going to serve others. And so we're going into Guatemala City, and then we're going out into a smaller village. The company that we're going through is Serve the World, it's called, and then the specifics group is Hug It Forward. So we're going to build a school in these small villages, and they do it through garbage. Right. So plastic bottles are filled with garbage paper and plastic so that they're solid, they're hard, and then they're put up to make the frame of a wall. Chicken wire goes up, and then they plaster it with their form of mud and different things. So that'll be there for a week in June. And if anyone would like to donate to that, the kids are paying for their trips. And so the one piece, we got about $13,000 worth of travel expenses. And the adults are paying all for our own way, but about $13,000 just for the kids. Right. And so I got a wonderful donation last night at the band concert. Gentleman who was a former music teacher there, Don Gasner, what a wonderful guy, came up and said, can I write you a check and donate to that? And he did, just so gracious. If anybody else would like to donate to that cause, that 100% will go towards travel expenses for those kids to go down and do a service trip for others, which I think is a great skill to learn for kids.
That's absolutely awesome. Next thing I see on the list here is also incredibly awesome. I even made a note here of how awesome I thought it was. Ice fishing club.
Yeah.
The right time of year for that.
We've got 20 some kids out for our ice fishing, including 3 foreign exchange students who've never done it in their lives.
Oh, that'll be cool.
So the foundation, the Marshman Foundation, donated $250 to go buy them some Beaver Dam tip-ups.
There you go.
So we got some new ones of those, and they start competing in January, and they compete. It's a state-sanctioned group against other schools throughout the state, and it's just an awesome experience. This year, I'm going to put my cleats on and my tip-ups and go out and fish with them this year. So it's an awesome group, and it's led by 3 advisors who donate their time to go do that as well.
That is really cool, and I love to get out there and see how that all goes down. I'm a big fan of ice fishing. Talk to me about the bowling team's fundraiser that happened on Saturday.
This last weekend, we have a bowling club that competes, both the varsity and a JV team. Last weekend, they had a pin tap tournament in Mayville, and they've got a few more things that are going on for the rest of the season. They've had a couple of wins under their belts, so it's pretty exciting.
Like it.
That's a lifelong skill, both ice fishing and bowling, and we've got a new esports club.
Right.
All of these things are lifelong kind of skills that they can keep going as they grow up and get older. So that's pretty exciting what's going on there. Anybody who wants to donate to that, I'm sure they're taking donations to help offset their costs as well.
That is amazing. Something on here that was not in my school when I was going, but you guys have, and I think this is really cool, the Science Olympiad. And I heard there was a trophy won when somebody was at it prior.
Yeah, I'll let the mayor talk to that one because he's got a state trophy somewhere down there. But we have 11 students that have been competing with Mr. Kevin Robinson has taken them down, and we've already got 2 medalists that competed down in Milwaukee a couple weeks ago. They do all sorts of science-related tasks and to try and build something that's going to meet the requirements, and it's just the more opportunities we can give kids to connect to something in school, be it science, be it esports, be it fishing, sports in general, music, the better they're going to find school to be. So That's just one thing, but Josh was quite a academia when he was in school. So
Thank you, Mr. Southworth, for being a state champion science teacher / coach. Yeah, we did win. Horicon won state for Science Olympiad in 1991. And any of my friends that are listening know it's true, and no, we're not nerds.
I mean, it's kind of the age of the geek right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's okay. It's okay. You talked about esports a little bit. Esports is becoming very, very popular, which is great. And it's great that you have all these different activities that people can be a part of because, like you said, engagement is huge. You want those kids to be engaged. And engaged children are oftentimes perform better in school. And I see that leads right into our next thing here. We got National Honor Society induction coming up. Actually, no, it happened.
We just had it. Last year we inducted 20 students in. This year, it kind of goes every other year where we have large groups and smaller groups. This year we had 6 that were inducted in on December 11th. And it's just another organization that I think takes our students who both do the right thing in school, in the classroom academic-wise, but also make good choices in their own decisions and choices to do the right things. So congratulations to those kids and those families.
I'm going to skip an item and then we'll come back to it because I want to talk about this happened on December 7th. You guys had a great event with the Chamber of Commerce, Cookies and Milk with Santa. How'd that go down?
Yeah, it was fantastic. We had hundreds and hundreds of kids that showed up there. Huge thanks to our Chamber of Commerce that they donate the money for the cookie and the milk, and we have an arts club there doing ornaments for kids. Nice. I had about 15 high school students that dress up as elves to come in and help facilitate keeping kids in line and waiting for Santa. Mr. Claus and his wife were both there. They do a fantastic job. And then we do pictures that families can pull up and keep as well. So the Chamber supports us in so many ways, and I greatly appreciate them.
Definitely be on. I've look out for that for next year because I'm sure that'll be a recurring event. Now let's go back to this topic. I love that you guys do this. You have a coffee that you guys do together.
Every other month, we do a coffee at the school that I do a presentation on what's current, what's going on, and then I bring in student programs to present to folks so they can keep current. Our kids can get up and present in front of people, tell about their clubs, talk about the things that are happening in the school, answer any questions by the public, and it's just a way to be as connected to people in our community as well. And especially for some of those folks who maybe are more, they don't like to be called senior citizens, more seasoned citizens, that they can come in, have a little social time, but also be connected to see what's going on still in their schools.
There you go. I like to call them extremely experienced youth.
Yes.
Yeah. And then this next topic, this is going to lead us into, of course, the discussion we're going to have with the city here with Mayor Josh Maas as well. But this is the time of year where budget questions come up. And it looks like you've got some budget numbers for us here.
Yep, budget still hasn't really changed since the last time. It always does come out once the tax bill comes out because you never know. Once you've submitted, our mill rate went down for the school. The overall what we had to levy for went up a little bit, but not all that much. But it still doesn't have an impact on people's taxes, and we're always very conscious of that.
And, of course, I know we'll have a story that's going to come out with the news with all these specific numbers, so we don't have to necessarily go into the specifics of it. But obviously, it's a complicated balance to make these budgets work, and when people are trying to figure out what they're going to be paying, there's a lot that goes into the school district has to know what they're doing, but then, of course, city's got to know what's going on there, and then there's county stuff and all that comes into it as well. So let's use that as our leeway, if you will, into talking here with Mayor Josh Maas about city budgeting and tax bill conversations.
Sure. We talked about this last month. I've talked about it online more than once and with anybody that has actually called. I don't generally answer text messages that might come. But the budget this year, in short, we control one thing. We control the levy. Our levy, the amount of spending we're going to do, how much money we're going to collect, actually went down 0.1%, so negative 0.1%. In addition, we did our first citywide assessment of properties after 12 years, which in retrospect is way too long.
Yeah.
You can't wait 12 years. I mean, property has gone up all over the place, especially residents, right? And we actually used my tax bill as an example at council when we passed the budget. There are a lot of residents in town who saw their tax bill go down. There's a lot of them, including myself, who saw their tax bill go up a lot. There's houses that are worth a lot more than mine, that didn't go up $1,100 like I did. There's houses that are worth a lot more than mine whose taxes also went down. When you do this reassessment, it's taking into effect what your house, that's what they're trying to shoot for. They're trying to get an assessment to match an appraisal, right? So when I sold my house on the other side of town 3 years ago, it was assessed at $82,000, and I sold it for almost 2.5 times that. So once you sell it at that amount, that's going to be probably your basis for the next time an assessment comes around. You understand?
Yep.
So after going in Horicon properties, thanks to a lot of the stuff Rich said, 15 minutes ago, people are moving there. Houses, when they are either being brand new, being built, or on the market, are generally being sucked up in a week, unless they're, maybe priced a little too high. But generally, they sell very fast. When we got the numbers back from the assessment, the value of residential homes over the past 12 years went up more than the value of the commercial properties in town and more than the industrial properties in town.
That seems very unusual.
Yeah, because, that and people are trying to move to Horicon more so than businesses trying to buy another business in Horicon.
Right.
Which isn't that shocking.
Right.
We're 4,000 people. So when you do the reassessment, if the commercial and the industrial properties aren't going up at the same rate as the residential, some of those burdens that were generally paid in the past by industrial and commercial have now shifted, unfortunately, down to residential. So no, the city did not spend more money.
Right.
We actually passed a levy that was lower. The problem is that with the reallocation of who's paying what, some of the folks that were probably overpaying for 12 years, be it an apartment complex, be it an industrial facility, be it an overtaxed resident, that started getting reallocated throughout the town. And people did have a chance during the open book and with BOMAR appraisals to challenge what their assessment came in at. And anybody who challenged it pretty much had to go down. So the option, I didn't do it. None of us did. I'm not the only one that's an elected official. There's an elected official who's went up way more than mine. So it's not anything that benefits us. It's not like we're spending more and buying more.
Right.
It's just an unfortunate reallocation of funding. Same thing happened in Mayville in 2022. And then if you look at our neighbors all around us, the cities around us, and the townships that all border us, a lot of their property taxes went up just the same, as well. And, when you break down a tax bill, and Superintendent Appel knows this, it gets split, like you said, 4 ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's the city, it's the school district, it's the county, and it's Moraine Park Technical District. If you look in there, it's about the same for all 4 of us. It's not like anyone is particularly helpful or to blame, but what we did do was after 12 years, is lower our mill rate down to what our neighbors all are. So we went from like 28 down to 17 as a total. So if you look on your taxes and you know a house in Mayville that is the same value as yours, we're paying the same. So now a $250,000 house in Horicon is paying the same amount of taxes as a $250,000 house in Mayville. A $400,000 house in Horicon is paying the same as a $400,000 house in Mayville or in Juneau. So what we did was just reallocate.
Right.
We didn't overspend. It also has given us a really good lesson, I guess you can call it, that we can't ever go 12 years again. You remember, we didn't pick these numbers out of a hat.
Right.
I mean, BOMAR Appraisals, who was the contracted firm, and the state picks what the values are of these businesses and these buildings and these houses, not the city. So, yeah, it sucks. I mean, I didn't like to pay more. Who in the heck wants to pay more in their taxes? Right. But at the same time, when we can see what's actually been happening in our town, I mean, we got a new subdivision that's half in already. We have a new one that's about to start with the old school property. We did complete redos on Kansas and on Juneau, on Nebraska, on Center. We're going to be doing East Walnut. We've surfaced, I guess we call it mill and Siri heard me on that one. We mill and overlaid many more properties or roads than we have in the past. We've done a lot. We're not wasting money. We're actually trying to be as cheap and as smart about it as possible. We've invested and fixed up our fire trucks to the point where we won't need to for 2 decades.
Right.
So we're investing the way we should be. It's just unfortunate reallocation. And until the next assessment, we know where we stand.
And we know, unfortunately, when it comes to budget discussions and talks, a lot of times people have very strong opinions, but don't necessarily have the whole picture in front of them. So it's good for people to understand that there's a lot that goes into the budget discussion. That's definitely important. I want to touch on this because this is super important right now, especially with snow coming.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the winter's parking stuff.
Yes.
And then we don't need to necessarily talk about the new business coming to town, but give me a second with the winter parking ordinance.
You pull up the official information?
I did. I had Cody send me exactly what he wanted me to say because
All right.
he didn't want to come in today.
Cody.
So winter parking went into effect in Horicon on December 1st, which we all know. So that basically means no person can park, stop, or leave any vehicle standing on the streets during the hours. I think it's 2 to 7. He has 12 to 7, but I think it's like 2 to 6 or 2 to 7. But we're trying to make sure, especially with a snow event coming up, that we keep vehicles off the roadway during snow events. So when we're going to have a snow event tomorrow, it's just going to happen. Just try to stay off the road so these guys can do their job, clear the roadway of hazards. And we ask people to do this regardless of what's going on. You know, we've had already 2 events where we've had to call our guys in because of the curve by my house, you know, where people bounce off the guardrail. That, you know, people have been bouncing off it already. The first time was a pretty fluke squall, but our guys are very proactive. I would say out of any community around us and the county, we're the most proactive in getting out and brining and salting before an event. Our DPW and our utility folks really do care about that, because there's plenty to show that any pre-treatments, any, I guess, preventative work you can do before the fact really pays off on how fast you can clear your roads after when something's happening. So our guys are going to be, you know, getting ready all day Thursday. Even though we're down a truck, we're still waiting for one of our trucks to come back with its new brine machine on it. We still have 3 that can get out there and attack before, during, and after an event. But we're just asking that when you know that it's snowing out, you know our trucks are out, try to get your vehicle off the road so they can do their job, especially downtown. There isn't much place to put snow downtown in Horicon.
Yeah, and snow removal is definitely an important part of it. And, you know, you always hear people complain about, well, it doesn't get cleared fast enough, it doesn't get removed fast enough. Well, it's going to take longer if you have to work around vehicles that are parked on the street or other obstructions. So
yeah, we got
the team out.
60 miles of roads and 3 trucks.
Right.
And there are priorities of what roads need to be done first that has been developed with the school and the city. They're going to take care of the 3 hills that go up to the school, so Minerva, Gray, Rice. Mm-hmm. Definitely the highway, especially the curves, so 33, 28, E in both directions. All those are going to be taken care of first because that's going to have the heaviest traffic and the most out-of-towners going too fast. So there are, just like the county does, they have a priority on their routes. Each of these drivers have their own section of town in which they're responsible for. They have decades experience, almost each of them, that they know exactly how to do their route and which is the most efficient way to do it. We have GIS, you know, so we were able to map what the most efficient route is. So we're just asking for the cooperation of our residents to make it as fast and as smooth as possible. And, you know, like he said, I don't think this is going to be necessarily a school event because this is going to be happening in the afternoon and it should be cleared up by Friday.
Right.
Before school starts again. But Thursday is going to be our first good practice of a real messy day. And, you know, we have invested a lot into making, you know, our roads in Horicon as passable, if not the best around. So we're going to keep doing that.
I see a note here about sand. I'm assuming that's for residents?
Sand for residents. If you want to grab sand, they do have the sand buckets out by the city garage where you dump off brush. If you bring your own, like 5-gallon buckets, you can grab as much sand as you want. They'll keep filling it up. I've filled up about 8 5-gallon buckets for my driveway, so feel free to go out there and grab sand.
There we go. I want to touch on a few other quick things here before we get into our wrap-up. We're just coming up pretty quick. I see a note here about a new youth center.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking questions what's going in at the spot. So the restaurant on the far east part of Highway 33, right by the school. A group out of Waupun has bought the building, and it looks like they're planning on creating a youth center / coffee shop that'll be available for, you know, well, coffee shop would be available to anyone who wants to drink coffee, but the youth center will be a place for kids after school to come and discuss whatever they'll be discussing at the new youth center. I don't have necessarily much more than that. I'm just letting people know it's no longer going to be a restaurant.
There we go. And we talked a little bit about some new homes that are coming in. I see you got a note here about Hillcrest Builders as well.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, it's the one right next to the Van Brunt building. Mm-hmm. They'll be coming in and building condos, but they're upper level, nice condos with very limited steps, so kind of geared towards more seasoned citizens
there you go.
that may not want to have to mow and snow removal. and it'll be contracted out, and they can live in a nice 2-3 bedroom home right there, right in the middle of town. So it's going to be fantastic.
And
Looking
they're
forward to that.
clearly, just for people that are listening, they are clearly not apartments.
No.
Yeah. And I see here expecting somewhere between 25 and 30 units.
Yes.
Is what we're looking at here, which is awesome. And I see one more note here, Senior Citizens Edition to the City Rec program.
We added this about a month ago, where the City Rec program, which the school is responsible for. We contract a lot of our services through the YMCA of Dodge County.
Right.
And we've added the seniors to our group for activities, both socializing activities, but also physical activities, doing hikes, doing different things, pickleball maybe, some of those kinds of things, maybe some trips coming up. Really, we're going to be working with some of our senior citizens to find out what is it that you want, and we're going to include it in our City Rec program.
You said it's been going on for about a month. Have you seen a few senior citizens show up?
We've had this going on a little bit since last summer. It started getting
okay.
organized, but we decided to take it under the umbrella of the City Rec.
Okay.
Because they can walk in our school in the mornings and at night. They can use our fitness room. So we've opened up the hallways for some of our folks to come in because the streets aren't the best to be walking on. They do a great job cleaning them, but it's not always the best for people to be out there walking in the winter. So they can come up and use our hallways.
Well, that's awesome. Well, with the last couple of minutes that we've got here, I want to give you guys a moment to kind of wrap up. If there's any last-minute things you want to talk about, if you want to offer up some very public advice for the potential incoming new superintendent for the school district, anything like that you guys want to share?
It's that time of year when so many of our families are getting prepared for Christmas and the holidays, and so we have a couple of different groups that have. Amy Williams has got a shopping for our kids to be able to. They have a lot of donations that have come in for kids to be able to go in and get presents for their parents, or their parents to come in and get presents for their kids at little to no cost. That were donated for some of our families that could really use that help. And we also have another one where Leah Gerton, our community health worker, has also put together some things, and that's going on over at the Van Brunt building for families that have signed up to go there. It's that time of year. People have been so giving. We've had a lot of secret elves come in and donate to give to families. It just shows the good-hearted nature of people who want to give and take care of others. And for me, it's just I really feel blessed in the position I'm at. I love my job, but I'm also looking forward to the future. And I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. And I'm looking forward to 2025, and I wish everybody the best 2025.
Awesome.
I would echo that. I would like to say, definitely happy holidays, and I'm looking forward to 2025. And the last thing I want to say is tonight's December council meeting is going to be on Zoom rather than in person. The only way that we were going to be able to get our council to have a quorum the rest of this month due to people being gone for the holidays or gone for work or at activities for their kids is to have it on Zoom and to have it tonight. So our council meeting for tonight is at 5 p.m. It's on Zoom. That means you can still get on. You can still have your 3 minutes. So jump on if you want. The information's on the horiconwi.gov in the Agenda Center, and you can find the link there. Other than that, have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next month.
Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you again for stopping in, taking the time to inform the listening audience and everybody out there who is in Horicon and not in Horicon about what's going on in the great city on the Marsh. And I want to wish you both as well a happy holidays. And, of course, we'll see you in the new year. This has been a paid program. The advice and opinions expressed during the program are solely that of the Horicon School District and the City of Horicon, not necessarily WBEV or Good Karma Brands.